Welcome back, deep divers. Ever been in a conversation, maybe writing something important, like an email, and you feel like your biggest point, the really crucial thing, just isn't landing, like it's getting a bit lost, not quite grabbing the attention it needs. We've all been there. Well, today we're diving headfirst into a linguistic tool. Think of it like a verbal laser pointer. It cuts through all the noise to highlight exactly what you need people to grasp. We're talking about something called cleft sentences. Sounds a bit academic, maybe, but trust me, by the end of this, you'll see them everywhere. And more importantly, you'll know how to use them to make your own points much clearer, much more impactful.
That's exactly it. That's our mission today. Because language, well, it's not just about stringing words together correctly, is it? It's fundamentally about guiding attention, taking your listener or your reader and sort of pointing their focus right where it matters most. So yeah, we're going to unpack these cleft sentences, look at how they're built, why they exist, and really figure out why they're such powerful tools for emphasis. You probably use them or hear them all the time without even thinking about it.
Okay, right, let's unpack that. The name itself, cleft sentence.
Yeah.
It gives us a pretty big clue. Cleft, like, a split in a rock. It literally means split. So imagine taking one idea, one sentence, and splitting it deliberately into two parts. And the whole reason for doing that split, it's to shine a spotlight, a linguistic spotlight, on one specific bit, the bit you really want to emphasize. Instead of like lighting up the whole stage, you point a really bright beam right on one actor. It's a very conscious choice, right?
Yeah.
Make certain information stand out.
Precisely. And what's interesting, if you dig into the grammar a bit, it's not just one clause. You usually have what linguists call a matrix clause and a cleft clause. They work together. And that grammatical split is exactly what creates that spotlight effect you mentioned. It's a very intentional act designed to make sure the key message, or maybe just one element of it, really lands with your audience. It adds precision.
Okay, that makes sense. Being really intentional. But I guess why bother? Why go to the trouble of splitting the sentence? Can we just say it normally? What's the real advantage beyond just emphasis?
That's a great question. It really gets to the heart of why they're useful. The main advantage is making something stand out in a way that a simple sentence just can't. You often see them used maybe more in writing or formal speech when you really need something specific to pop. Or, to clear up any possible confusion about focus, think about times when one piece of info is absolutely critical. You just can't afford for it to be missed or misunderstood. Using a cleft structure sort of builds a frame around that key detail, draws the eye right to it. It ensures that the most important bit isn't just there, it's highlighted. It really shapes how the listener processes it all, helps manage the flow.
Right. It's like putting a verbal underline on something, but like with more grammatical muscle. Okay, this is definitely a tool worth getting hang of. So if we want to use this secret weapon effectively, we need to know the different types. All right, let's dive into the common ones, because each type emphasizes things in a slightly different way. Still powerful, though. Okay, first up, and probably the most common one you'll hear, is the it cleft. You've definitely heard this. Maybe didn't even notice its structure. It goes like this. It plus a form of to be, plus the bit you're emphasizing, plus then that, or who, plus and then the rest of the sentence. Right, so take a simple sentence. John broke the window. Pretty straightforward. But if we want to really stress who did it, maybe someone else was blamed, or we just found out we used the it cleft. It was John who broke the window. See? John gets that starring role right there. It makes it really clear who we're zeroing in on. Almost feels like you're revealing something important.
And the impact is, well, it's immediate. Quite forceful, actually. When you say, it was John, Ellen, you're not just stating a fact, you're pointing directly, unmistakably, at John. This often comes up when there's a question about who did something. Maybe others were suspects, or we didn't know before. So saying, it was John, sets him apart, makes him the absolute focus of that action. It creates contrast. Compare that to just John broke the window. That's just a statement. The cleft version kind of implies there was doubt or other options, and now it's being clarified, adds weight.
That difference is key, yeah. It doesn't just state, it asserts. Okay, now what if the emphasis isn't on who, but maybe on what is really important? Or what someone wants. That's where the what cleft comes in, sometimes called the pseudo cleft. This one shifts the spotlight onto, like, the object or the result of a desire. The structure often starts what plus a clause plus then be plus and finally the part you're emphasizing. So if I feel like saying I need a vacation, which, let's be honest, is pretty common, to really elevate that, make it the absolute core of what I need right now, I'd say what I need is a vacation. Suddenly, a vacation isn't just a need, it's the defining focus of my need. Right there into the spotlight.
Exactly, and that's a key difference. This type, the what cleft, It often emphasizes the result or the object of a verb or maybe a strong desire. It lets the speaker prioritize that outcome, that necessity, makes it paramount. It's like the speaker's laying out one strong, maybe singular requirement, pushing it right to the front. A vacation, in your example, isn't just on a list. It becomes the thing. If you just say, I need a vacation, maybe you need other things too. But what I need is a vacation really zooms in, makes it the top priority.
Huh. I remember trying to explain why I bought some weird gadget once. My spouse just wasn't getting it. If only I'd said what I was really looking for was a conversation starter. Might have saved some debate.
A perfect example of how that emphasis changes things. And building on that idea, that strong desire, we also have the all cleft. It's kind of similar to the what cleft, but it adds this feeling of totality, completeness. The structure is often like all plus subject plus verb plus then be plus in the emphasized bit.
Okay, so an example might be, all I want is some peace. Here, peace isn't just emphasized. That word all makes it sound like it's the only thing wanted. Nothing else matters. It's the absolute priority.
That's a great way to put it, the totality. It does share that focus on a single desire with the what cleft, but adding all just ramps up the emphasis, makes it sound all-encompassing, the sole objective. It implies everything else is secondary or doesn't even compare. So peace isn't just wanted, it's the sum total of what's wanted. Really intensifies the feeling. Compare I want peace to all I want is peace. That second one feels much stronger, doesn't it?
Definitely. Cranks up the emotional volume, for sure. Okay, and what about when it's not a person or a thing, but a reason you want to highlight? A cause. There's a specific type for that too, right? A kind of cleft.
Yes, exactly. For emphasizing reasons or causes, this structure often uses a we phrase like the reason why, the place, maybe the time when, right at the start. Then comes be, and then the clause explaining the reason.
Right, so like the example, the reason why I left is that I was sick. You can see how it sets up the question, why'd you leave? And then delivers the answer, the cause, with full emphasis. It frames the whole thing around explaining the why.
Precisely. It's really effective for focusing on a reason or a cause, especially when you need to be crystal clear about motivation. No ambiguity. By starting with the reason why I left is, like, you kind of prepare the listener. They know an explanation is coming. And then putting that I was sick at the end gives it maximum weight, leaves little room for doubt about why the action happened. It's rhetorically quite powerful for clarity. Think about I left because I was sick. Simple statement. But the reason why I left is that I was sick. It just sounds more definitive, doesn't it? More authoritative. Harder to question.
Okay, so we've broken down these structures. It clefts, what clefts, all clefts, the reason why ones. But what does this actually mean for you listening right now? How does knowing this stuff help in, real life?
Well, the implications are pretty significant, both for understanding others and for expressing yourself. First, understanding them. It makes you a better listener, a better reader. You can spot what the speaker or writer really wants you to focus on. Instead of just taking in all the words equally, you can pick up on these cues that say, hey, this part is important. You become more discerning. And then, maybe even more importantly, you can start using them yourself, consciously. Think about making your own communication clearer, more persuasive. Imagine you're negotiating. What we really need to achieve this quarter is, boom, you've foregrounded the main goal. Hard to ignore. Or maybe giving positive feedback. It was your approach to that project that made the difference. Gives credit very precisely, amplifies the praise. So understanding these isn't just academic, it's about rhetorical precision. It's about shaping how information lands, influencing perception, really.
That's a really powerful shift from just understanding grammar to actually using it strategically. But I wonder, can using these sometimes sound too formal? Or maybe even a bit unnatural in casual chat?
That's a really important point about context and nuance.
Yes.
Like any tool, they work best in the right situation. If you're having a really casual, fast back and forth, constantly throwing in cleft sentences might sound a bit stilted, maybe even a bit pedantic. But in situations where clarity is absolutely key, a formal presentation, a really important email, maybe a legal setting, or just when you need to correct a misunderstanding very clearly, their precision is gold. The key is intentionality. Use them when you need that laser focus, when the message has to be unambiguous, not just as a fancy flourish. It's about matching your language to the situation.
Right, it makes perfect sense. It's all about being intentional with language, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, remember these cleft sentences are powerful, intentional tools for emphasis. They literally split the information to put a spotlight right where you want it, guiding attention. Pretty clever. So now that you know what they are, how many do you think you've actually heard or read just today without even noticing their quiet power? And maybe think about how using them consciously at the right moments could change how you deliver your next important message. Could add a layer of sophistication, maybe?
Indeed. Language is just, it's such a remarkable instrument, isn't it? So
Yeah,
much precision, so much beauty. And the more we understand how it works, how it subtly shapes perception, the better we get at using it effectively. Eliminating ambiguity, making real connections. There's always more to learn, more ways to refine how we communicate, making every word count.
absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the surprisingly fascinating world of cleft sentences. Hope you feel like you've got a new linguistic superpower. We'll catch you on the next one.